As we journey towards Easter together at Mount Zion, we intentionally invite you to slow down with us and make space to hear God's voice and to see Him move in our lives. We have, on Sunday mornings, been journeying with Elijah and Elisha through the books of 1st and 2nd Kings. And as we journey towards Easter with them, we're not going to be able to look at all the passages and all of the characters and people that are a part of the story of what God is doing. So I want to take time here and look at some of those passages that we're not going to spend time with on Sundays. And in 1 Kings chapter 20, we see a story about King Ahab. And Ahab has been kind of a secondary character for us so far, especially as an kind of combatant of Elijah. And in this passage, Ahab seems to be the good guy. He is threatened by Ben-Hadad, who is the king of Aram, and there's 32 other kings with him, and they are threatening to take Samaria, the capital of Israel. And I challenge you to read this passage for yourself. It's a long passage, so this is a short video, so I'm not going to read it all or go through it all with you. But the long story short is as Ben-Hadad threatens the people, Ahab turns to God, and God sends prophets to promise victory, and God delivers that victory, not just once, but twice. He gives him two distinct victories. And part of the prophecy is because of some of the things that Ben Hadad has said, because of God's grander picture, his bigger will to change the kings in Aram. We see that in 1 Kings 19, where he said Elijah's going to anoint King Hazael. God tells Ahab he wants him to destroy Ben-Hadad. But that's not what Ahab does. After the second victory, Ben-Hadad and some of the kings go to Ahab and ask for mercy. And they ask for him to not to spare them. And Ahab does it. And at the end there, Ahab looks like the good guy. He's delivered this huge victory, this amazing victory. He's responded to God and his will. He's done the things that God has asked. But in the end, he goes his own way. And so he wins battles and he receives prophetic guidance and he experiences God's deliverance and he finds these victories, and yet he's still disobedient. There's an illusion of spiritual victory. And particularly in this Lenten season, we expose the difference between spiritual activity and spiritual surrender. We're being called to surrender our hearts, our lives, to fully commit to God and not just do a bunch of things. It's not a checklist of things to do. Do this, do that, and then you're close to God. Ahab looks faithful. He listens and he fights God's enemies and we see the success, but there's not a full obedience here. There's a bigger picture where he shows Ben Hadad compassion. It looks like compassion and mercy, but he's really being disobedient to God in that. He's not submitting to God's authority. And a prophet comes and calls Ahab out, and much like Nathan does to David, and shows Ahab the error of his ways. And so we have these moments in life where we are celebrating victories and we see all the things we've checked off the list. And at the same time, we are resisting surrender. So Ahab experiences God's power, but he doesn't really submit to God's authority. He still does things his own way. And in this Lenten season, we are attempting to make sure that we don't do the same thing, that we don't see all these amazing things that God has done and wants to do in our lives, and yet at the same time be resistant to fully giving ourselves over to it. So, where might you in your life be celebrating progress? And we should celebrate progress. We talked about that last week with Elisha. We should celebrate the things that God has done and the things that we have done in response to him. But we can celebrate our progress on one hand and resist surrender on the other. So, where might you celebrate progress in your life and celebrate obedience? But at the same time, you haven't really surrendered. Is there an enemy of God that's in your life that you're holding on to, that God wants to give you complete and full deliverance from, but yet you continue to allow it to be in your life? I would invite you to share the things that maybe God lays on your heart or what he speaks to you in the comments here. Share them with us. Ask for prayer there or for anything. And let's celebrate victories together too. Where have you seen God working and moving? And where do you still have yet to grow and come into full surrender and full obedience to him? We invite you to continue to journey with us towards Easter in this way and look forward to sharing with you each week.